This is an example of one of our rut setups to capitalize on buck screws along the edge of this marsh. There are really a couple important wrinkles here. First is we identified this by obviously just walking this transition, but there's a lot of historical rubs in here. There are a bunch from this past year, but this whole edge here is just littered with rubs all along this entire edge. The problem here is two things: one, access, and then two, wind. Deer coming from the ag up there or from behind me, and predominant wind is going this way, so any kind of south, southwest, or westerly. Easiest access is half mile or so up from the road, walking the high ground, then dropping down. Problem with that is we do that, we're crossing the trail or the path that the deer, a lot of the deer, are going to take to get down into that marsh, particularly the bucks when they drop down off the ag and then run this transition around through here. So what we have to do is access from back behind me. We access by water. It's a lot more, it's a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely worth our time, because if we access from up here, deer are going to bust us. So that's the first thing that makes the setup work, is the access, how we access it. The second thing is the wind. And again, the wind is coming, westerly, southwesterly most of the time throughout the course of the year. You can see this ridge right here, and it comes to a point about right here. So if we hunt this on any kind of west or a south, a lighter west or south wind, that wind hits that ridge and it curls it around and takes our stink right down along that transition, which we don't want to have happen, because the deer are going to smell us long before they get to us. So what we've done is we've set up this maple right here, that one right there, a little bit further back, for a couple reasons. One, our wind is going to hit that high ground and go that way, because the wind's going to flow just like water. Ideally, we'd want to set up somewhere right in here for bow season, but again, any kind of predominant wind is going to curl right around like that, and the deer are going to smell. So we had to drop back a little bit, so our wind is hitting that point and then curling back that way, and the deer aren't getting us. Second thing we did in this maple here is we set up high, hopefully to get more of our wind to go straight up over that hill. But this is a really good example of someplace where you look at this and you say, you know what, I'm going to set up right in here someplace on a westerly wind. The wind's going to go straight like this, but what again is going to happen, your wind's going to hit that high ground and it's going to curl around, and every doe group and every buck that's dropping out of that ag coming down here, they're going to smell us. So just something to consider. One, remember that wind flows just like water. It's going to hit that high ground, and it's going to either go that way, the point, or that way. And then access. Again, we're using backdoor access via the water. The other advantage of the water is, we're not very far from the water. My son's hollering at me. I think he found a big rub over there. We access by the water. We come in here. Very few deer are using this ground back here. They're all right along this transition. So we can get more than a couple hunts out of this, or at least a couple hunts out of this, because we're not covering ground that the deer are going to be spending a lot of time in. So just something to think about when you're developing stands, walking ground, and looking at things. Be thinking about where that wind's going, where your wind's going. So with that, milkweed. If you're not already running milkweed, go find yourself some. So there it is.